no, we're live.
We're live from New York. It's Saturday night.
I don't remember what the fuck noise they use for Saturday night.
It starts with like a really loud like trumpet goes. I watched a shit ton of Saturday Night Live, just in general. That's one of my all-time favorite shows.
I used to watch Saturday Night Live a lot when it was like Jimmy Fallon, Tina Fey time period.
Older. Not even old school, just older.
Like probably like 2004 to like 2008.
2004 to 2008. Okay.
And you want to know the weird circumstance on why?
Why?
Because I go hang out with my dad, and he used to work he was like the main manager at Domino's, so he would close on Saturdays, but they had a TV in their office.
Oh.
So like Saturday night, like it would just make
Saturday
sense.
Live. Yeah. I remember starting to like Saturday Night Live from Netflix actually releasing some of their older episodes. They had like, I remember distinctly, it was like Seth Meyers was still doing the weekend updates.
Yep.
Bill Hader was still on it.
Yep.
So I started kind of like when Andy Samberg got discovered. So I started watching Saturday Night Live from beginning of Andy Samberg, and then like from there.
Those were great times.
Those were good ones.
That little group of dudes made some killer sketches.
Some killer ones. Like, I mean, still to this day, I've seen like people recreate the TikToks of the "ooh, what you say."
Yeah.
So like, definitely, hi, Bert. That Saturday Night Live always has like a true place in my heart. I still watch every single new episode.
Yeah.
Especially with like new people. Like, I love when John Mulaney hosts.
I really like the one lady who's on there now. She's kind of
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah,
I fucking love Kate McKinnon.
That sketch that they've done a couple times now, where it's the alien abduction one.
Yeah, and she's just like the one's I mean, like, I didn't have as pleasant of experience.
Yeah, they were playing with my coot.
My coot and my tootaroo or some shit. And the way she just says it, I'm just like, oh my god.
Because my favorite part about Saturday Night Live is when they do the sketch and the people on can't keep composure.
They can't keep... Amy Bryant's also one of my favorites. She can't keep her shit sometimes together.
Yeah.
She had a wardrobe malfunction once.
Oh, no.
And it was so funny. Because they were doing like a... It was like a joke on the president's term or something like that. Yeah. So they were supposed to do like a daily show. And it was like changing through the time. So they had quick wardrobe changes.
Yeah.
And one of her wardrobe people were like still on stage trying to get her ready, and she's just like pushing her off, like trying to keep it together, and it's like chef's kiss.
I just love have you ever seen the Will Ferrell one where he walks in and he's in the American flag song or whatever? That is one of the best skits ever because they were not ready. I think the story is that he did that improv. Like he was supposed to wear clothes and then go in and say that shit. Yeah. But he just put on that thong and went in there and did the whole sketch. Yeah. But was spreading his legs and laying on people. Yeah. Oh, so good.
So funny. Yeah. One quick one that was also one of my favorites was Bill Hader hosted, and he was pretending to be like an old man.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, it's so funny. I'll show it to you afterwards because it's just like chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Well.
Anyways.
Welcome back, everyone. It's True Crime Drunks. We've taken a little break. We're kind of considering it. We finished up like a season.
Yeah. Season 1 complete.
Yeah, we did what? 8 episodes, I think?
Oh, I think we did like 10 episodes.
10 episodes?
It was almost a year because we started in March.
So, and that was just holidays around. Holly got COVID. I've had a couple scares myself. It just was a good time to take a little bit of a break, get our thoughts back together, get that energy to be, wanting to come back and do it. So I guess you guys consider this a season 2. We're not going to title it season 2 or anything like that. But
no, but it's kind of season 2. COVID, man, you don't think 2 weeks is a lot until it takes out 2 of your Saturdays.
No.
And then you're like, fuck, I planned 3 different podcasts that time. We should have technically done already another episode, another killer.
Right, this should be our second episode.
Yeah, because we're doing... Next time, Ed Holmes.
Yep.
Very interesting man. We don't know a lot about him. It was rumored that he's the reason for American Horror Story Hotel.
Ed Holmes is
He's a mass serial killer. He's a strange one. He's a lot of information. He kind of reminds me of the Golden State Killer because he kind of has different MOs and different aliases because they just didn't realize it was all the same person.
It's just crazy to think that someone can live a life. I don't know. Just so wild. But anyways, I'm Wes McBee.
I'm Holly McGee.
Holly McGee. And Sorry, I just started thinking about how crazy Ed Holmes is. Anyways, we're not covering Ed Holmes this time.
We're covering Richard Ramirez,
the Night Stalker. And if you lived in like the greater Los Angeles area or San Francisco during like 84, 85ish area, and ever walked around and you had that feeling of like, you know, like somebody watching you,
it probably
was someone watching you. There probably was someone watching you. The good old Night Stalker, who just you guys are going to find out if you listen to our other episodes that he does not fit the characteristics of all of our other serial killers we've covered so far.
No. Maybe his childhood really, but like him in general just is mind-blowing a little bit. It's just like a mindfuck. A
lot of serial killers that we've covered, we've noticed like a trend of like being successful, going to school, like having like somewhat of a normal life, and Richard Ramirez is not that.
No, he's been an outcast the entire time.
Yeah, he very much is dark, and you know, I don't like to use the word evil because I don't think that exists.
Yeah.
But he definitely did not have any intention of pretending he was trying to do anything good in his life, like some of these other guys did. A lot of other serial killers were covered up with like, you know, donating their time or dressing up as a clown.
Yeah, or like just doing something for the community, taking care of someone's kid.
Being involved in politics. Like,
just kind of like not, but like being, or Jim Jones being like a fucking great guy when it comes to racial issues, especially during that time in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Because that was like pretty bad during that time, I guess.
But Richard Ramirez is not any of that.
No, he is an interesting fella. My joke isn't as much of a joke as it is to going to this picture right here. For being a Night Stalker, he sure didn't stalk enough dentists. Oh!
I know, that picture is haunting.
Yeah, well, because that's like the joke with Richard Ramirez is because he's so hot, like if you look at the other pictures, super like handsome. One of the most handsome ones I think we've done so far. Like, Ted Bundy's cute, but he's no Richard Ramirez.
Right.
No Richard Ramirez. But the only thing is his teeth. And so I know that's like the joke. Because when you search up Richard Ramirez, like I was looking up the timeline so that way you get kind of like a general idea of what's going on.
Right.
I looked up, it put T and the first thing was teeth.
Teeth, yeah, his teeth are all sorts of
fucked up.
Yeah, he's got something going on there. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, also probably drugs. But anyways, Richard Ramirez, also known as Ricardo. I'm not really good with Spanish, but his name is Ricardo. Was born February 29th, 1960. Leap year. So he's a leap year man. Yeah.
That's
29.
probably why.
It's probably exactly why. I didn't do any research on it, but I guess like leap year is like supposed to be like one of like the luckiest days. Like if you're born on leap year, you're a lucky person. But every person I know that was born on leap year, not every single person, but a couple people I know that were born on leap year are not doing well in life. So I don't know what that means.
Sucks for them.
Right. So he was actually the youngest of 5 children. From what it sounds like, he had the firstborn was a daughter, and then the other 4 was brothers. So he was the youngest brother of 4, and then he had an older sister. I'm not sure how old, like what exactly the timeline is of when they started popping him out, but his father Julian was and his wife actually immigrated from Mexico to the United States in Texas. So technically they were from Mexico, then they moved here, and his dad was actually a former policeman, who then became a laborer and then was prone to fits of anger and physical abuse. From what it sounds like, his childhood, and I think it would be really cool to do an episode on head traumas. Because also Richard Ramirez got 2 head traumas in his childhood when he was really young. And I know a lot of other serial killers have had head traumas at such a super young age. So I think it'd be interesting to also just look up just like all of the
effects of head trauma on
serial killers. Yeah. Because the thing is, like, just because you get a head trauma as a kid doesn't mean you're a serial killer as an adult. But anyways, so from what it sounded like as a kid, he was pretty popular in the sense of like he just had friends. He didn't really have a lot of issues. What I think his turning point was he had a cousin, Mike, or Miguel, but they called him Mike Ramirez. He was actually a combat veteran in Vietnam War, and he would actually, sorry, excuse me, the beer is just like real burpy. I'm actually drinking on True Crime Drunks, but he was a Vietnam War veteran, and apparently he had Polaroids of like deaths in there, war scenes. Like he had pictures of like women he allegedly raped, and like was showing that at like to Richard at like 12 or 13. Yeah, so his cousin was very bad. He like would also show him severed heads of women he abused, and then things like that. And then so on top of that, his dad was also really abusive. And then another fun thing that actually might be also a key point into how Richard Ramirez is because his mom was actually working when she was pregnant with all of her kids, and she was working at a place like I'm not exactly sure what the place was, but she was actually exposed to a lot of dangerous chemicals that nowadays, if you were pregnant, you would have to take a leave of absence because almost every single one of his siblings had a birth defect of some sort.
Really?
So, and of course, when she was pregnant with Richard Ramirez, she was working at the same place.
Wow.
And so, and then come to find out that being pregnant and breathing in those fumes actually is a really big factor in like their baby.
Right.
And so every single one of his siblings had some kind of defect in some way. Not significant enough, because as you can tell, Richard Ramirez was like kind of a healthy man, like didn't really have health issues.
Maybe it was the teeth.
But maybe that's what happened with the teeth. But yeah, so that, and then at age 10, he started smoking marijuana, and really bonded with Mike, his cousin, over joints and gore stories. And then Mike also taught Richard military skills, like killing and stealth. Yeah. And then Richard Ramirez's older sister, he actually lived with her for a while because his dad was just so abusive. He lived with his sister, who I can't tell if it was his cousin Mike or his sister's brother-in-law, or I guess his brother-in-law, who they actually, when he was like a teenager, would take they were like I think his brother-in-law was known for being a peeping Tom, and he actually took Richard Ramirez to go like stalk with them, right? Like go peeping Toms, peeping windows, and like just taught him a lot of like I think what he knows later, right? And then also besides that, besides like living with his sister for a little bit, Richard Ramirez would also sleep in cemeteries just to get away from his father. As you do. And then in May 4th, 1973, May the 4th be with you.
And that was a year off from when Star Wars released.
Yeah. His cousin Mike actually fatally shot his wife, Jessie. Yep. In a domestic argument, which no one knew, but Richard was there and witnessed the entire thing of his sister-in-law, or I guess his cousin, killing his wife. Yeah. And then, yeah, so then kind of around that same time, he moved in with his sister, and then it was her husband, Roberto, would then help Richard be a peeping Tom. He would take him on his excursions, which, I don't know, if my husband was a peeping Tom, I don't think I couldn't stay.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah. It's one of those things, right? So, like, it's definitely in the 70s, so, like, yeah, we just don't understand, like, the dichotomy of that, I guess. But, like, I just wonder if it was one of those things where it was, like, a couple beers, like, hey, let's go peek on fucking, you know, Josie next door. Like, if it was, like, bros being bros, like, this is just what a bunch of people did. Or if it was, like, yo, let's go check this shit out. Yeah. Well, I think it was mostly they just wanted to, like, look at them. Yeah. Kind of just, like, I think it was maybe, like, the thrill of knowing that they're watching somebody, but, like, the people don't know that they're being watched. Well, yeah, that voyeurism thing is, like, it's a really popular, like, kink. Yeah, it's a big kink. So I think, so he just, Richard Ramirez started doing that with, his brother-in-law. And kind of, like, around the younger ages, about... I don't really have a good timeline. He's born in 13. Maybe about 15, 16, he was doing hella LSD. Yeah. He was fucking doing any psychedelics, smoking hella marijuana. And then slowly developed, because his family's Hispanic, and they were raised very Catholic.
So Richard Ramirez really did believe in heaven, hell, God, the devil. He really, truly believed in all, like, the good and the evil.
Right.
And he really got into Satanism, which obviously we'll talk about more eventually. But so around that time of him doing LSD, doing all these drugs, he got really into Satanism. And then another key point was his cousin Mike, who went to jail, obviously, for killing his wife, actually got out 4 years later because it was like he was like diagnosed with PTSD or something, like a mental, because he was in a mental hospital. He wasn't in an actual prison. And then so he got out, and then his influence over Ramirez continued, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is really a story of, like, Richard Ramirez is awful and evil.
Yeah.
But it's also a story of, like, his cousin was really the villain.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, because the thing is, like, I think back when I was, like, 11 or 12, and I was so impressionable.
Oh, someone could...
Easily.
You could... It's just, like, that age gap. Like, that's a perfect time to influence someone.
Yeah,
like, that's why, like, when we talked about Elizabeth Smart, go back and watch that episode.
Shouts out.
You know, she was a little bit older, but it's still that age group of being impressionable. And, you know, we talked a little bit off camera about maybe some of our opinions that differ from the book. But I think that, you know, regardless of what you're doing, if you take someone of that age range and you just tell them, like, what's cool, what's right, and what's wrong, they're just going to believe you because you're an adult. Like, you want to believe adults because you so badly want to be one and have that freedom adults have. So, like, it's really not a far-fetched thing to think that he just 100% this guy was bad and just wanted to have a lackey.
Yeah, and also, too, I think, too, you have to think, too, like, culturally for them, like, family is everything.
Yeah.
And, like, your cousin is, like, your brother, essentially. So, like, or, like, your second dad, you know? So, like, to have this older guy take so much interest in you, obviously, because, like, I mean, like, I know, like, I call them my Baldwin family because they're not biologically related to me. But, like, whenever, like, the adults wanted to, like, know about me or hang out with me, I was so excited. I was like, yeah. I want to watch movies with you. I want to do what you want to do because you're, like, including me in your adult things, you know? Like, that's not something, like...
It's to a kid. It's important.
It's important. So I feel like for Richard, Mr. Ramirez, like, his cousin, Mike, really was the reason why he was who he was. Because I think, too, if he didn't have his cousin and he didn't really have his brother-in-law,
I don't think... been another dude.
He probably would have been another dude. And, like, he might have gotten into drugs. Then again, like, maybe the LSD was something that, like, sparked something in him as well.
Maybe. And I
don't really think so, but...
He did have things stacked against him, right? Like,
yeah.
He was the youngest of 5 kids. That's always can be rough. Abusive dad, kind of absent mom.
Yeah.
Like, all those things can definitely lead to it. But to me, none of that is blaring serial rapist, murderer.
No, especially because, like, he had friends. He wasn't, like, a loner or anything like that. He had tons of friends, and as soon as he, like, was about 14, 15, he started doing hard drugs. A lot of his friends dropped him because they didn't want to start doing LSD at 15 years old. Yeah,
and, like, I really think that... I do find it interesting that the media did heavily sit on him being a Satanist and him doing LSD.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if that was, like, propaganda the right word, but, like, them trying to fight Satanism and LSD, because nowhere in, like, actual Satanism is it, like, to kill and murder people.
No, and also in Satanism, if you rape somebody, technically that person you raped has every right to just murder you.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, a big belief, is what you do what you do onto others, they do to you.
So, like, I just thought it was interesting that they say those are big contributors, but to me, in my eyes, that seems like contributors to the media just wanting to try and fight LSD, which would have been rapidly popular in the 70s.
Yeah.
And Satanism, because, you know, we were God country.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big factor. Because, like, the thing is with, like, the Satanism, I'll talk about this later, because I don't want to talk about it when we're actually talking about a real person. American Horror Story. They did their latest season on Richard Ramirez. It was fucking great season. But, and they focused a lot more on Satanism in that show. But, like, to me, it seemed like yeah, he did it for Satan, but really, he really wasn't either. He was just doing it to do it.
No,
he really didn't even, like, he didn't really give his, like, sometimes he wrote, like, the satanic symbol and things like that, but sometimes, most of the time he didn't. He really was more focused on just the rape and murder.
Right. I don't think the Satanism, in my personal opinion, I mean, the LSD, I think that maybe could have, like, heightened it, because if he was already in a fucked up mind state,
yeah,
the LSD probably heightened that. So maybe that had an impact.
Well, especially when you're, because the thing is, I've never done LSD, so I can't speak from experience. But like from other psychedelics that I know of, it seems like when you're on a trip and you're looking at something, like, so say if he was on LSD and his cousin was telling him all this stuff he was doing,
yeah,
it like makes it more prevalent in your mind, because that's all you can only think about it. If they rename Satanism, I think so too. Well, I mean, like, also Satanism is becoming kind of
super popular.
It's a super popular thing
because people are starting to realize that Satanism actually is how they want to live their lives. Because when you research it, it's like a lot of positives. It's really not. There's no devil worship. Like, that's just old, scared white men and women afraid of like things they don't understand. But I don't know. So in my research, I'm kind of going to rehash a lot of what Holly already went over, because, how we split our research is she does childhood and teenage, and then I do adult life. And really, Richard Ramirez's adult life isn't...
It's very short-lived.
It's very short-lived, and he didn't, like all these other serial killers, like, he didn't go to school. He dropped out of high school. Mm-hmm. He didn't have, like, this facade of, like, a good guy. He wasn't dressing up like a clown. He wasn't he was not Ted Bundy in politics. Like, I
think the biggest thing, like, different is he wasn't a pretender.
Yeah,
he was straight up just himself.
Straight up himself. It's just interesting to me because the whole aspect of his cousin really, I think, is what created Richard Ramirez. I don't think there is anything else. I think Satanism, I almost kind of wonder if he just used Satanism as like a thing because he wanted to like fuck with people.
I think he kind of did. Well, the thing is, he really believed in the religion, and so, like, considering you have either being God's child or Satan's child, it only makes sense that he was like, yeah, I believe in Satan. He's my Lord and Savior. I think that's kind of just like, it's the cultural thing of like religion being super popular and things like that.
Right.
So that's the only thing I could like really think of. In the sense of, like, why he was, like, super into Satan is maybe just because of his own religious background. He was like, well, considering how my thoughts and desires are, I can't be God's child.
Right.
That's the only thing I could think of. I just also, too... The thing is, he also looks like a fucking jokester. Yeah. So I could also see him just wanting to fuck with... I think he just wanted to fuck with authority.
Yeah, I definitely think so, too.
So, and especially with Satan.
Now, the interesting thing about this is... It wasn't... He started criminal acts well before the big bad things.
Yeah.
So in 1977, he started doing petty robberies.
Yeah.
And he actually got caught and was put into juvenile detention for several years. He got out of juvenile detention, and then in 1982 he got probation for marijuana possession. Mm-hmm. So that kind of is how they tie in, like, him smoking, all that type of stuff. And then by 1983, he was arrested for car theft.
Yeah.
And then he was released in 1984. Now, 1984 is when he really
flipped the switch.
Yeah, this is when he stops doing petty dumb shit like car theft and, robberies. And this is when he actually starts becoming the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez.
Yeah.
So in June of 1984 is when we know, when his first documented murder was. It was the sexual assault, robbery, and murder of 79-year-old Ginny Vinco. And that was the first one that the police can document. Now, did he murder people before? It's quite possible.
Because the only thing we know before this actually happened was when he got out, or when he was still kind of like a teenager, he worked at a motel, actually. He was like a helper and stuff. He got fired because they found him almost assaulting 2 children.
Yeah.
So that's why he got fired. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was either like other rapes or other murders we just don't know about because like maybe he was like testing out the waters. Because that's like the biggest thing with Rich Ramirez, I feel like, is that he's kind of like he just fucking sends it.
Yeah,
he fucking sends it.
It's definitely not a... Because like with some of these other serial killers, right, there was always like a build-up. Yeah. It was like, you know, either burglary or then it would be like maybe they would kidnap somebody.
Yeah.
Or like they would just test them, right? Like Ed Kemper would pick up women, but he didn't start killing until like multiple
pickups. Yeah. Because like
testing the water.
He was testing the water, so I wouldn't be surprised if Richard Ramirez actually had a bit more victims than we know about. Yeah. Mostly because too, no one, like everyone knew his face, all of his survivors, but no one could really pinpoint who this fucking guy was.
Right. So now this is gonna come fast because, like I said, he only. Oh wait, that was funny. His spree lasted from 84 to 85 or 6, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. And there's just not a lot of information unless we dove deep into each specific victim, which we don't like doing because like
it almost just takes away from the victims and kind of just highlights the murder. I don't know. I'm just not really comfortable saying like every single thing.
No, and
mostly just because it's like.
And we know from like the Netflix documentary that is out right now that came out like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not happy with that show because a lot of people feel like they crossed the line showing like
murders,
crime scenes of his and different things like that. And
I think people just got a little offended because it was just like, like you said, they just showed actual crime scene footage and film, and they recreated like I think some like aspects in the sense of like blood spatter analysts, things like that, and like
there's just a line between like a little too much.
I really didn't think it was that bad. I only watched the first episode.
I feel like Netflix is a weird one though, right? Because now any documentary that goes on there is going to be popular.
No matter
so
what.
People who aren't into the true crime world probably see stuff like that and are just like disgusted. But the people who are into true crime or horror or whatever it be are just kind of like, oh, well, yeah, this is just average day. Anyway, so June of 1984 is when he committed his first known murder. In March of 1985, so he took almost a year off, is when he really started like the craziness, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this first murder in 1984, maybe this was his test run. Maybe this was seeing if he could get away with it.
Kind of like just testing the waters. I think also too it was just kind of like a. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just going to see if they figured out who it was.
Yeah, because I've wondered that too. Like when I was researching, like, you know, if you it's pretty much impossible to put your mind in the head of a serial killer because it's just wild. But I was thinking like, okay, if I was him and I committed my first murder, I'd probably wait a year, right? Because like you probably having all these weird thoughts and like maybe everywhere you go you think like, oh, this could be the day I could get caught.
Yeah, I mean, you just assume people like will find out.
Yeah, but they don't ever. There's nothing stating that in 1985 something like clicked or happened. It just like the spree started. Like he just really went for it. So in March, he attacked a woman by the name of Maria Hernandez. She escaped, thankfully. Sadly, her roommate didn't escape. And we don't have the name of the roommate, but she did get murdered. And that same night, he shot and killed, I'm going to butcher this name, so apologies. I believe it's Sai Lian Yu. A few days after this, so now we're up to 2 murders in the span of about 5 days. He killed 64-year-old Vincent Zazara, where he broke into their home, murdered Vincent, and then tortured his 40-year-old wife, Maxine, and killed her.
Yeah.
So that's 5 people killed in the span of like maybe a week.
Yeah, no, I have the timeline here, and it wasn't like he would do like in a span like 5 people in a span of a week. He literally like on March 17th killed 3 people. March 20th killed 2 people. on March 20th, my birthday,
Ooh.
killed 4 people.
Yeah.
In just one day alone. So it wasn't like he was just stalking one person, then going for it. It was like he was like, all right, this is the night. He'll go and kill this person, then go here, and then go here, here, and then go here. So he was a big terror to Los Angeles.
Yeah, huge. I mean, so on our True Crime Drunks Instagram, I've been posting like serial killers and different things like that, and we actually had someone comment and say that they were alive during the Atlanta murder spree.
Oh shit!
And she's like, it was a scary time because, like, you know, families were terrified to let their kid go anywhere because, like, kids are getting found up murdered. And she's like, it's just a whole entire atmosphere that she couldn't explain. And I'm like, that's crazy to think about. Like, I'm sure Los Angeles being as populated as it was during that time.
Yeah, and even now.
Think about being any part of the demographic that's getting murdered. Like,
it'd be terrifying. Because the thing is with Richard Ramirez as well is he wasn't focused on one demographic. He was focused on anybody and everybody. The
only trend that I saw was, like, they tend to be older.
Or much young, like children or elderly.
So I just don't know if, like, that's like a power thing. I don't know. It's tough because I didn't look into it, but I don't think Richard Ramirez really talked much when he was in prison.
No, because he didn't want to explain himself. He was just like, nope, I did what I did. Suck it.
Yeah.
But I think it was kind of along the lines of, like, when you think of the most pure people, you think of an old lady and, like, a small child. Yeah. And I think, I'm not saying it's because of, like, the Satanism thing, but it kind of does correlate with the Satanism thing in the sense of, like, who's the worst people? Who is the most unforgivable killings? Women or children and the old
elderly
people.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it had to do with kind of a power play, but kind of also those were the most fucked up things. Right. Fucked up people he could target.
Right. So after the killing of the Zazara family, that's when the police were like, oh, we're dealing with a serial killer. And they're dealing with another serial killer because, 10 years prior is when they were dealing with the Golden State Killer. Who, for the record, got away with everything.
Yep, for many years.
I don't know if it's documented or not, but I wonder if they thought that this was more Golden State Killer. But it's tough to really point to figure that out. They didn't have any leads, though. They had no idea. Richard did continue his spree by attacking William and Lily Doy in 1985, and pretty much now that there's almost a dozen bodies, the police were under a lot of pressure, and that's when they set up a full task force, and the FBI was kind of like, oh yeah, we'll come down and start helping.
Yeah. Well, and the issue was also, too, with Richard Ramirez is he would actually he had some victims. So, like, he actually let people go. I think one of, like, the saddest ones was, like, he picked up a little girl, did some things to her, and then just dropped her back off. Yeah. And was like, you should probably call the cops. And then left her. So, like, this guy was... I think for some reason Richard Ramirez isn't talked about a lot because I think it's just, like, he was just too much. Because, like, for me, like... I don't know why it's, like... It is that instinct of, like, protect all children.
Right.
So, like, when children get involved in this aspect of letting them go after you just did what you did is just so terrifying to me.
Yeah, same.
That, like he, and also, like, the fact that he had never any plans, never had any MO, and he didn't kill all the same way either.
It's almost like you wonder if, like, that was his plan, was to just, like, corrupt as many young children and families as possible, because there's no we have to be realistic with that ideology. Like, it's going to be so hard to return from that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's not only going to affect the victim, but it's going to affect everyone around them. Like,
because then it's like your family friends are like, well, what if that was my child? And then the family's like, that was my child.
Yeah, it's
that kind of mentality.
I think that's one outlook that people really need to start understanding is, like, it's never just one victim, because it's spread so far from there. It's the same ideology. It's the same thing as, like, when people sadly take their own lives.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they did it to themselves, but, like, it's affecting so many others.
Yeah. And so I know during also this investigation, they would find boot prints, some fingerprints. The people who survived Ramirez were able to do like a picture of him, and like the thing is, just because he was so random, they weren't able to connect them all for such a long time.
Right.
But then eventually, just all the pictures just started looking exactly the same. That they're like, okay, this has to be one guy. And I think that's where, back to the Golden State Killer, that's how they were able to figure out the separation. Mostly because the Golden State Killer didn't really have any victims, because he was the original Night Stalker, because he was 10 years previous to Richard Ramirez. But the difference is the Golden State Killer, or the original Night Stalker, also same person, didn't leave evidence.
Right.
Because Ramirez actually he would like use gloves, and he like tried his best, but like, I mean, he once, what was that? I don't remember who the victim was, but he like curb stomped a bitch.
Yeah.
He like just straight up just like into her skull, like slammed into him, and like that's how they had like one of his boot prints is also because it was on her face, and also because the blood was all over.
It is now. If you guys are a little confused, it is a little confusing for me too. Like,
yeah.
So, is it James D'Angelo?
James D'Angelo.
Yeah, he's the Golden State Killer, and he was 10 years prior to this killing spree. So it was 74, 75-ish is when he was going on.
Yeah.
But it gets confusing because he was coined the Night Stalker.
Yeah.
But they also coined this guy the Night Stalker.
Yeah. I think they were starting to realize that the Night Stalker was also the East Area Rapist.
Yeah.
And then a couple other aliases. Because the Night Stalker, like Richard Ramirez, he had a few different aliases. He was the Walk-In Killer and the Valley Intruder. Just because of like the exact locations, they kind of had a different thing. Until they just realized, like, no, he's just a Night Stalker.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the biggest reason why they were able to differentiate James D'Angelo, and Richard Ramirez was because of Richard Ramirez leaving evidence.
It's just crazy to think, like, I wonder if they thought he was a copycat killer at some point, because he did the same things.
Yeah.
He broke in, he tortured, he raped, he murdered, and then he also did exactly what the Golden State Killer did, went to San Francisco.
Yeah, he also then, eventually went to San Francisco because the heat was getting heavy.
Yeah, that's exactly why. So in 85, later of 85, the FBI stepped in to assist the search for this murderer. And I don't know if he just was keen to that, or if he started seeing, like, his images, because, like, there were sketches, if he just started, like, seeing it in news, or newspapers, or posters, or whatever, the heat was on, and he was like, okay, well, I'm going to dip. And he dipped out to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And then everything kind of went really quick as far as like what happened in San Francisco. So on August 18th of 1985, he attacked and killed another couple named Peter and Barbara Pan. And that's where Richard left satanic symbols for the first time in their house.
Yeah.
And the police realized when they came in that they could, or excuse me, he didn't. This wasn't the first time that he's did this. He's left satanic things, but this was his first killing in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So when the police went and investigated, they were like, okay, well, this could be the same Night Stalker because there are these satanic images. Yeah. So they were able to tie the two together. A few days after, on August 24th, Richard attacked Bill Carnes and his fiancée, Inz Erickson. And they were actually younger, which they were about our age, which I thought was really interesting. But both of those victims actually ended up surviving the incident, and they played a large part in the investigation and the capture of Richard because they were able to go and be like, this is what he looks like. And they found pictures of him in the criminal database. Yeah. And they were like, that's him.
That's him right there.
And they had all of his information because he was already in the system from his other petty crimes. And then so on August 24th is when he attacked, and then on August 30th is when he was finally arrested.
Yeah.
So they probably saw him out and about, or they found where he was staying, and he was charged with 14 murders and 31 other felonies associated with his killing spree. But just because our good old law system and court systems are the way they are, the trial was pretty confusing and a lot longer than it should have been. 4 years in total.
Yeah, he had one of the longest trials that I know of so far. I think because of just how sporadic he was, and also he wasn't willing to talk.
Yeah, he wasn't.
And he
claimed innocence.
He claimed innocence, but because one thing that happened in San Francisco, and that's why he went back to Los Angeles and left San Francisco, is because, and this is why that's why a lot of times when you hear someone die, you don't hear a lot of the information. The DA office, someone in the higher ups gave away a big key hint in all the cases is they found a boot print.
Yeah.
And they identified the boot print, and so he got rid of his shoes.
Yep.
So because that was a big thing, is the ability to connect him to everything was because of this fucking boot print and his fingerprints, but mostly this fucking boot print that was just somehow everywhere.
Yep.
Every single murder, it was just there somehow, one way or another.
Now I am going to get into. I want to know your opinion on something, just because I know that we've talked about the death penalty, but I'm curious what your opinion is on how this all transpired. So, after the 4 years of his trial, he was finally found guilty on 43 charges, including 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 sexual assault charges, and 14 burglary charges. And he received 19 death sentences on November of 1989. Okay. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Well, this is what I want to know your opinion on.
Yeah.
He was on death row from 89 until when he died, which I don't think was...
It was June 7th, 2013, I
2013.
believe. 2013.
That was in both of our lives.
He died when we were, right when I started high school, he died.
I was 1 year out of high school when he died.
I just was in high school when he died. When it comes to something like this, because the thing is, he didn't die from he had a disease. Yeah, so because he actually didn't die because of something like the electric chair, lethal, whatever.
But he was on death row for more than 23 years. 23
years, and he died then of a blood disease, blood cancer.
Yeah.
That's where my issue is the death penalty costs us so much more than imprisoning somebody for the rest of their life. It costs us death penalty is $5 million to do. To imprison someone for the rest of their life, it's $100,000. Because if you think of it as how cheap the clothes, how cheap the food, how basic the amenities are, it is so significantly much cheaper.
I thought it was flipped.
No, I'm pretty sure it's bigger because I had this argument in high school, and that's where my change happened, where I wasn't really for or against it. I didn't really have an opinion. How much does it cost to kill somebody?
Dark web.
On death row. Sorry, my phone's gonna be my internet's gonna be slow. But the thing is that for me is I thought it costs significant, because the thing is you have to keep them separate. You're giving them a better life because you know they're about to die. Yeah. Kind of mentality.
Everything I've seen is people who are on death row actually live a lot better than
they live significantly much better. So the death penalty costs to execution from sentencing to execution normally costs about $1.26 million. Non-death penalty cases through the court to the end of incarceration normally costs about $74,000. So it's just significantly different, especially for someone who was there for 20 plus years in jail. But fun fact, during his trial, he was a handsome guy. He had a lot of people that were interested in him. Yeah. He even married one of the people.
That was one of my interesting facts, was that... Yeah.
Tell us it.
So as a Satanist, he became popular among other followers of the cult, and he had several fans who were fascinated with him. one of them, a freelance magazine editor, Doreen Leoa, fell in love with the killer and married him in California's San Quentin State Prison in October of 1996. So that man got married to a freelance magazine editor because she was just... I'm sure it was fascination. I'm sure it was like... I don't know. You hear about shit like that all the time. Like, you know, if you dig deep enough on the internet, you can find like Columbine fan pages. I know that sounds fucked up to say, but they exist. And like, you know, people who fall in love with these serial killers or shooters and different things like this because like whatever ideology they spew that they have or think that they have, like, I guess it lines up with some people. And it's kind of dark and scary, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it really says a lot about our society as a whole. Like, it's just creepy to think that there would be things like that.
But yeah. Am I wrong? Didn't she, like, divorce him once she found out that children were involved?
I didn't look that far into it. I just thought it was crazy to think that he
got married.
He got married.
Yeah, I think genuinely she broke off contact with him when it came out that he was a child predator.
Yeah.
I like to think, I don't know. I like to think that, you know, she wouldn't be interested.
Yeah.
But, you know, also Ted Bundy had a child in jail.
Yeah.
So, to each their own.
Clapping cheeks is clapping cheeks, I guess.
I guess so.
I don't know. This episode ended up being quite a bit shorter than I was expecting. I think it's just because there's not a lot of depth to Richard because, like...
He was pretty cut and dry. There wasn't really much to say about him. I was going to give him a review off of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
So, I really like this new season, 1984. So, it had Richard Ramirez. Of course, they changed the story completely to add to the effect of the show, which made it so much better. Like, honestly, if he had the story that he did in American Horror Story, he'd be much more interesting. Because his character was, when he was like a teenager, he met this girl who then created him. And then she actually turned against him when she found out that he was killing women and children, because she kind of created the Night Stalker in a sense of like getting justice and spreading the satanic way kind of thing. But then they made it more paranormal where Satan actually revived him because he got killed and he was then...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so honestly that season
Did they call him Richard Ramirez or was it like a name?
No, he was Richard Ramirez.
Oh, okay.
Because it starts off with this girl, one of the main characters in this story. She's someone burglarized and like comes in and like tries to attack her and she gets away and then find out later who attacked her was Richard Ramirez. And the cops he was already kind of doing what he was doing. And then more things happen and then it turned into like a slasher campsite movie.
Okay.
And then it just turned so good. Honestly, it's only like 9 episodes. If you have nothing to watch, I really recommend it because American Horror Story, definitely downhill for a lot of their seasons. Yeah. But this one, like, because they don't have like Evan Peters, they don't have Sarah Paulson. Yeah. They don't have any like the OG people.
I heard the newest season they're gonna bring them all back though.
I heard they are too, and I'm really excited. Well, I thought so apparently because I thought they were renewed till season 10 and they were done. You know, like they were gonna call it at season 10 because they're already at season 9. This one is season 10. But no, I guess apparently they got signed for till season 13. Oh. Which I think honestly, I love American Horror Story. That was like the turning part of like I found that out when I found out horror and it was just kind of like all escalated. Right, it just fit perfectly. But no, now I'm like, stop being like, how many more things can you come up with? Because like there are some good seasons like Cult. Yeah. One of the best. That's actually probably one of my new top 2 favorite ones is Cult. Obviously Murder House, the first season was my all-time favorite, but also I liked Asylum, the second one of the most. That one actually kind of creeped me out.
Yeah, Asylum was good.
Asylum was really
good.
See,
I stopped watching during the Lady Gaga season, the Ed Holmes season.
Oh, the hotel. See, the thing is, I stopped watching.
Interesting.
I stopped watching after the first episode because they had that like rape scene in it, and that just like instantly turned me off. Because I was like, "Come on, like why?" Do you, like it was just so graphic, to the point where I then watched the series, and I was like, "There is no fucking point of this." Like it kind of added into one factor, but it was a factor that didn't need to be done. Yeah, and it was also hard mostly because the character that got raped was Schmitty from New Girl, and I was like, I can't see my hero like that. I
thought that was pointless to add in. And I just really didn't like the whole idea of it. Like, I
liked it at the end when it kind of matched everything together, but it just
I didn't make it to the end.
Because basically it ended with like one of the, like they knew that it was the hotel, they like knew, and then they got one of the witches to come in, and she got trapped in it, because when you die there, you stay there forever.
Right.
And I was like, that's not the point of it. It just kind of turned into like, because then it was like Ed Holmes. I liked, the one thing I did like about it though was like, was it Halloween night or one night of the year where it's like the Day of the Dead.
Right.
And so all the dead comes back. So every infamous serial killer is like sitting in this table where they train this new guy to be the new Ed Holmes. Because Ed Holmes was, I guess, doing like the 10 Commandment killings.
Yeah.
And then he trained a guy whose kids actually got kidnapped into being little baby vampires for Lady Gaga's character.
Oh,
the thing is that was really hard, because you remember the beginning guy who was like, "Where's my kids?"
Yeah.
His kids actually, or no, not both of his kids, but one of his kids actually got taken and was part of Lady Gaga's children cult. So it was just like the hard part of the series was just so much was happening, and they really didn't have one direct thing. Because I think that was my problem with it. Is like, it was all based off of this hotel, but so goddamn many stories were happening.
Yeah.
And then things were just dropped. I didn't like Freak Show.
No, Freak Show, I didn't watch that one.
That one wasn't very good.
That one was after that.
Oh, yeah. And you said you didn't watch them. They actually made like a part 2 of Coven. It was Apocalypse. And they basically added back the Coven group and the original. That
season was really good.
That season actually was pretty decent. Yeah. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. The way it ended, I was just like, oh man, that's like free genius.
Yeah.
But I also, the best ending to this day, in my opinion, is still going to be Cult.
Yeah.
Cult was so good. And also because I loved Evan Peters' rendition of every cult leader. Because he had Jim Jones, he had everybody.
He's really good. You know what's funny is, like, I used to watch, he was in one of my favorite shows growing up, which was Never Back Down.
Ah.
You ever see that one?
I haven't seen it, but like I know exactly what you're talking about because I've seen scenes of it, but I haven't actually watched it.
It was such a shock to me because, like, he was in that and he was kind of like maybe the third or fourth main character, I guess you could say. He was not the main character, but he was just like silly and goofy and like, you know, kind of like just a dude. And then like to see him in the first season of American Horror Story and it came out, I was like, oh fuck, that's the dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember him from Sleepover.
Oh fuck, I forgot he was
in that. He was in that. He was like the one where I can't quote it, but it just like seeing him as such a fucking goober.
Yeah.
Just a fucking meme.
Yeah,
and then he's like
straight up goob.
And then he was technically like a school shooter.
Yeah.
And then a serial killer. I liked the first season a lot. I can understand it's really slow. The second season, I understand why people hate it. I thought it was fucking brilliant. The alien part could have taken out, but I thought it was just great.
The first season, it took me 2 times to get through it. Because, like, I really just didn't... I thought it was not even remotely interesting the first time I watched it. I was like, okay, like, I get it.
It's an insane asylum.
Yeah. And then... No, the first season.
Oh, the first season, yeah.
Yeah, the first season took me twice to get through it all the way. And I still felt like it kind of dragged, but I liked it.
That's why, like, the first season was hard. It's like, if you could get through the first season and see that ending, I feel like you then understand. Because it's all a formula. There's always... It always ends. That's what I like about it, is that it always ends the series. So, like, you don't have to have a season 2, and you don't have to worry about your favorite show getting canceled. That was my biggest thing.
I just hope they start doing more horror shows that are, like, longer form. Because, like, do we have any other horror, like, TV shows that are, like, full horror?
The only one I could think of, which was a very fucking good one, Scream. They remade the Scream show, and they made a TV show. That was actually a brilliant TV show, in my opinion. It was so well done. And they had they didn't have quite Ghostface, but they had a different form of Ghostface. And I thought it was really good, especially how they ended season 1, and then the way they ended season 2, and then they canceled it. Oh, I was so sad. Because I remember watching that actually on Christmas Day. Because my dad was doing his own thing, and I was it was after we did our family stuff, and it was okay, it's just kind of still another day for us, and I was
So I have pulled up popular horror shows.
Yeah.
Stranger Things. I mean, I guess in a weird way it is, but it's
more sci-fi to me.
There's something called Stand.
Oh, The Stand. That's based off of Stephen King's novel, The Stand.
Oh, really?
It's that apocalyptic one. Apparently, that's the one book my dad. Because my dad's not really big into horror. He'll watch it with me because he's a good dad. But, no, that was the book that got my dad into Stephen King's.
Oh, interesting.
Well, actually, no, you want to hear a funny story of, why my dad started reading Stephen King? Not King's. So he had a girlfriend in high school, and he was on and off with her. And her nickname is Crazy Christine.
Ha!
He was Crazy Christine. Every time, he brought her up, it was Crazy Christine.
Hilarious.
A movie came out called Christine about the car that was that would kill people, and he's like, all right, I'll check this man out. And then The Stand was hooked him. So my dad's read a lot of Stephen King, mostly because of The Stand, but also he got into it because of Christine. Because it was spelled the exact same way as the book and movie.
God damn.
So yeah, I know the fucking savage. I love him.
Let's see here. There's something called The Past is Dead. Never heard of that.
Never.
Monsterland.
Nope.
Castle Rock.
Oh, that one is actually... That's one I need to watch. But the thing is, Castle Rock is based off of all the Stephen King's Castle Rocks.
Oh, okay.
Because Derry.
Yeah.
Castle Rock is a significant 5 or 6. Cujo is taking place in Castle Rock.
Yeah.
The Dead Zone is off skirt.
Is that the one where it's Castle Rock's in Oregon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Oregon or Maine.
Maine.
I think it might, because I think almost everything takes place in Maine.
Yeah.
Because that's where Stephen King's from, is Maine.
Right.
That's why they have Derry, Maine, and I think it's Castle Rock, Maine. But no, Castle Rock is basically they have 6 or 7 books based off of Castle Rock. Because if you read Needful Things, that's a great book.
I haven't read that one.
That one's basically the premise is this guy has a thrift store, moves into town, and everything there you buy is actually not quite right. One of the most fucked up scenes was this kid, I think his brother just killed himself, and his mom didn't give a fuck because she got from that thrift shop these glasses that made her basically live a second life with Elvis.
Oh,
because she was an Elvis lover, so she would wear these glasses and basically she would be able to fuck and date and marry Elvis, live a second life with Elvis with these glasses. So he was goes up to his mom and was like, Mom, something happened, and she's like, I'm busy right now, ask your father. And then his father had something else from the thrift store that it was this big I know it's based off of some, what's it called, some lore. Because the lore, the story of the man with that gets the monkey hand.
Yeah.
And then every wish.
Yeah.
That's also a Treehouse of Horror.
So it's based off of some sort of folk
I think it's
legend.
some kind of folk legend. But the thing is that was the story that kind of tied in a lot of the other ones, because it starts off with Castle Rock, Maine has a lot of stories. Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Green Mile, all those ones, and then they bring up that rabid dog, Cujo. And so Castle Rock, essentially if you read a lot of Stephen King, you will notice that the villain or the entity that's the problem is kind of the exact same entity with every other story, especially with all the ones that happen in Castle Rock.
Place in Castle Rock?
No, it takes place in Derry, Maine.
Oh.
So it's Oscar 3 miles away. I think they even mentioned that Derry, Maine is 2 miles away.
Oh.
It's really close. The thing is that's crazy is that
fucked up areas.
Is it fucked up areas? I don't know what it is about Maine, but I wanted to move there. But then I was like, do I want to move there?
I forgot about one TV series I really liked. The first season was The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, have you seen The Blind Manor?
I haven't yet. Is it good?
So
I forgot about it.
No, that's totally fine, because the thing is, The Haunting of Hill House, I forgot that is a horror, obviously.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic horror one. The issue with The Blind Manor, Belle and Cass didn't really like it because I guess like 2 or 3 of the episodes, like it feels like nothing happens. But I don't know, when I watched it, I felt like I was intrigued the whole time. I kind of liked it maybe a little bit more than Haunting of Hill House. But then again, I really like Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah,
the thing is, like,
so
it's
good.
so good, but I thought Bly Manor was excellente. Mostly because the main chick in it, she was also the main chick in season 2 of You. Fucking hot. Fucking babe. Let me look her up. I'm trying to get a boner on air. Just kidding. But yeah. What other TV shows? I know they had, did you ever watch iZombie?
No, I heard that one's alright.
I really liked it. The thing is that I'm not picky. The thing is, I love a lot of things, and I love it easily. 2
seasons of something called Two Sins Horror Stories.
Two Sins Horror Stories? I don't think I've ever heard of that.
There's a show called The Order.
Oh, I've heard of The Order. That's a Netflix original, right?
I guess.
I think that's like kind of like this cult at this high school or this college.
There's something called Channel Zero. Candle Go. Picture looks kind of cool.
Okay.
Obviously Supernatural. I guess that can be in there. I have heard that the new Sabrina series is really, really good.
Oh, I love that series.
Yeah.
If you're like, I think that's like part of like the whole like why Satanism isn't a bad thing, because it's basically, you know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the ABC Family. Like,
yeah.
I watched that. I watched that all the way through. I watched tons of times.
That's why I love cats.
It's basic, yeah. That's why I love black cats.
Yeah.
Because I wanted one like Salem, and I wanted to get a black cat named Salem, but. It just didn't seem really original. But anyways, it's basically imagine exactly that, but with Satan.
Yeah.
So, like, instead of just being witches, they're Satanists. But, like, they're Satan witches.
I've heard it's great.
It's really fucking good.
There's Lock and Key. Never heard of that.
I heard of that. That's another Netflix original that I didn't really want to watch. It seemed like more of, like, a children's horror.
The new Creep Show was really good. Did you watch any of that?
I didn't watch the series yet.
The new one's really good. Sweet Home. Never heard of that. Lovecraft Country.
That one's pretty good because it's like all of H.P. Lovecraft's creatures, and that one's an HBO one. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Obviously, The Walking Dead. Now, listen, I thought The Walking Dead, the first 4 or 5 seasons weren't bad. The second season was dog shit.
Yeah,
the first season was cool.
Yeah,
and then the third to the fifth was pretty decent.
Yeah,
but then they kind of really dropped the ball, and now they're beating that dead horse. Something called Creeped Out. Never heard of that one.
Mm-mm.
Marina.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing, I've heard, is actually really good. I thought it was interesting that they remade a Swamp Monster series.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading the Swamp Thing comics.
Something called Lore.
Oh, that one's an Amazon original. It's basically just on lore, but they just kind of do a storytelling of it. Like a narrator narrates it, and then they put creepy things.
I did watch the first 3 or 4 episodes of the new Nosferatu series.
How's that one? Because that's actually by Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's son.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So the whole Nosferatu, I don't know a lot about the original story, but he kidnaps kids and takes them to a different land.
Yeah.
Well, he does that. He shows up and kidnaps the kid, but then someone else in the city drove across a bridge and was able to go to that land in a way. Oh. I didn't watch a lot of it because I just kind of forgot.
Yeah.
That's what happens to me a lot is because there's so much shit going on. I forget there's so many series.
There's so much TV to watch nowadays. It's unreal.
City of Angels.
No idea.
The Terror.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Jutcast. Haunted. Something just called Slasher.
Oh, Slasher is a Netflix original as well. That one's just every story is a different killer.
Okay.
It's just basically a murder show.
I didn't know The Purge has a series.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Kingdom. Black Sommer. Don't know what that is. Reality Z. Mm-mm. Light as a Feather. Z Nation.
Ooh, Light as a Feather is really good. That's a Hulu original. And it's this shitty TV show that's it's a teen drama.
Oh,
and it's pretty bad, but goddamn fucking great. Me and Cass watched it and we're this is bad acting, bad script, but fucking good.
You know, I said Z Nation, And I really think Z Nation, I could be wrong in this. So I took a trip with two of my buddies, and we went to Reno.
Yeah.
And we stayed the night in Reno. And I remember we were like, me and one of my buddies were up like late as fuck, and we were just watching TV, and the show came on.
Yeah.
And it was like a zombie apocalypse type show.
Oh.
But it was just like some part of the season, and we don't know really what's going on. And these like people like go to this house or like go to this town or whatever, and they like are trying to like find shit or something, and they run into juggalos. And like they have this whole entire like episode with juggalos, and it was like probably one of the top 10 funniest things I've ever watched in my life.
Dude, the Juggalo Nation, dude, fucking wildin'.
Hellstorm, Ghoul. I did watch the first season of Exorcist. Not bad.
Okay, the thing is, it's really hard about horror TV shows. Is like, how do you keep something on for so long? Yeah. That's why I really like the Scream series, because the way they did it, it made it so you can make a third season and probably call it quits.
Right.
Because like they could only make a third Scream movie. Apparently they're making Scream 5. I'm really excited.
With the original
cast. But it's by the same person that did Ready or Not.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah. It's great.
Fucking great movie, right?
Yeah, really good.
Chef's kiss.
I did watch the first season of The Mist. See, I really liked the movie.
The movie was fucked up.
Like, it was just so creepy and ominous, and like some of the scenes were like gross as fuck. Like when the tentacle thing like rips the dude's fucking chest open. TV show, not so great.
Oh, see, that's the thing is, it's like hard too. Is like sometimes it's just hard to recreate horror.
Yeah, there's a lot of these. I'm not gonna go through all of them.
No, and probably most of them we haven't heard about, because they're probably like some like, because I forget that like the Sci-Fi Network makes their own shows. A lot of their own shows, and some of them are bangers, but most of them are not bangers.
I need to watch Twin Peaks.
I need to finish Twin Peaks. I've watched the first half season, and it's something that I need to finish, especially because I know they made a new season like 5-6 years ago.
I've heard that one's really good.
Another series that I never fully got into was X-Files.
X-Files is good. X-Files still kind of stands up.
See, that's the thing, is like, that's why I'm like, the thing is, now that I'm getting into anime, I have to watch so much anime right now to catch up, just to be like on somewhat of the same playing ground as most people. Yeah. But yeah, X-Files was just one that I tried to get into, and I wanted to get into, but I couldn't get into. I went back and rewatched most of it. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of like trying to go back and rewatch The Twilight Zone. Now, granted, Twilight Zone's black and white and much older, but there's a lot of episodes that are still super well done. Mm-hmm. And that's how the X-Files are. Is there's like a lot of episodes where you're like, oh, fuck. That's crazy. But then there's a lot of episodes where you're like, this was made in the 90s. Yeah. You know? I know one that they didn't say on there, Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, that's a good one.
My parents were really big into Penny Dreadful.
That show is actually really good.
I heard that one's good.
I liked it because I'm a slut for like the Grimm brothers and like fairy tales. Like have you ever heard of the show Grimm? Yeah. Grimm is one of my top favorite. I'm actually just rewatched that series because it's just so good and it aged so well. But like Grimm, Once Upon a Time, and then Penny Dreadful was really good because I liked it because it was like Frankenstein, like classic horror.
I heard the new season was not.
Well, because they were
really upset.
Yeah, well, because they knew they were. So basically, kind of what happened was they filmed half of it, and then they knew they got canceled. Yeah. So then they basically kept the first half and then quickly finished it up. So it was good, but it could have been better. But like, I also understand because they just didn't have enough time to finish it because they knew they were going to get canceled. But they also wanted to give the people endings, which I appreciate. So that's why I liked it. It's not like how they did us dirty with Game of Thrones. That can get people started for hours.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started on Game of Thrones.
Tell us why the White Walkers did what they did.
Why? Explain more. They could have just made that such a fucking long series endings. Like they could have just made it like.
They could have just not popped out and had Arya kill it in a cool way. They could have not done that.
Yeah, or they could have done that and then make it better from there.
And the show that had the biggest balls of any show I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah.
Just shriveled up into little Tic Tacs in that last season.
Yeah, they lost all motivation.
They copped out on everything.
Dude, I remember, it was actually kind of a funny story. So I was really into Game of Thrones, but I just moved in with my best friend, her boyfriend, and my boyfriend at the time. I guess both of our boyfriends at the time. Singles. But...
Dab on the haters.
But I was running into the issue. We just moved in together, so obviously you just move in with people you want to hang out all the fucking time.
Yeah.
No one of those people watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, man.
No one. I was alone in my desire to watch it.
That's rough.
And I remember it was either I think it was the finale. It was like the second episode or the finale. It was one of the episodes. I can't remember. No, it was the finale because I remember I was watching the second to last episode, which the one with the dragon. Was it the second to last episode where the dragon just fucking came and wrecked?
Yeah.
The Lancasters.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of those two. But I remember, I think it was the finale. I knew if I tried to watch it in the living room, I was going to be interrupted. I'd have to pause it. I was like, I just want to finish Game of Thrones on my own. So, and everyone knew my schedule because I had school. I ditched class, came home, snuck into my room, because we always close our doors.
Yeah.
So the door was already closed, and the guy I was seeing was working downstairs from home. I came home, snuck into that room, turned the TV down just a little bit, and just watched. And then I remember coming out of my room, and all my roommates were like, "When the fuck did you get here?" And I was like, "I've been here for 2 hours. I just finished Game of Thrones. I don't want any of you to fucking bother me." Because I remember watching the season where, or the episode where, the dragon came and burned down the Lancasters.
The Lannisters?
Lannisters, not Lancasters. Who's the Lancasters? That sounds like familiar from a different show. Yeah. The Lannisters, sorry. I'm not good with names, but it was when the dragon came and, like, Cersei died and Arya almost died and, like, all that big episode. That iconic, really, like, you're like, fuck, that a lot of things happen episode. And I remember watching the guy I was seeing who didn't watch Game of Thrones and having to explain the absolute significance of everything.
That should have been the red flag right there.
Yeah, that should.
You don't watch Game of Thrones. Not interested.
Not interested, especially for being a dork.
Yeah, you should also. You should put, if you ever like get back on like a dating site, just be like, if you haven't seen or if you haven't dealt with the disappointment of Game of Thrones, don't bother. Don't bother
me. That would actually be really funny because I think the last time, because I made one like last week, I had my my costume for the last year when I was the sexy Monopoly man.
That's hilarious.
It was so good. It was so good. Also, I put that as the second picture. And my comment, like my caption was, "If you can guess the second picture, you get a prize." Or who I was dressed up as. A surprising amount of people guessed the sexy Monopoly man, or it was like Monopoly man. A lot of people was like Charlie Chapman or the Peanut Man was the majority. But I had a few winners with the Monopoly Man. Yeah. But that was like my caption that time. That was the worst thing is I shouldn't have offered a prize because everyone asked me what the prize was. My favorite comeback was, though someone like messaged me, didn't guess my costume, was just like, "What's the prize?" And then a new message, a nude. And I was like, and then in his bio was something like either like I got secrets or let me tell you a secret. And I was like, "What's the secret? Got a small dick?"
Damn.
And he was like, "Unfortunately, that's not he's like, "Unfortunately, it's not true." And I just unblocked him. I was like, if you're not going to like be funny back, like you're going to ask me for a nude as a prize. Yeah. Yeah. I deleted my Tinder mostly because I was just like, one, I'm not looking to like date. And like two, like, I'm just like so tired of men being like one guy was like, "So can I get like like up close and personal with your like see your tattoos?" And I'm like,
I really feel like, don't take this the wrong way, but I really feel like probably don't find people on Tinder. No. Like it just
I've only met one cool person that I still kind of talk to this day on Tinder, and everyone else I've met is like unimpressive. Yeah. That's why I deleted it, because I was just like, you know what? Well, because Cass was like, well, why don't you like try to meet people like off like Twitter or Facebook or like Instagram? And I'm like, seems like a lot of work, but like I like started posting more on my Twitter, and I was like, wow, a lot of people like my stuff. All right, I guess I could find people on Twitter if I really wanted to. But also, like, I just feel like dating nowadays it's just like, it is so much nicer if you know a person already, or if you meet at a party or at a bar. It's just so much like, it just feels so much nicer when you get to then like hang out with them in like a dating aspect.
I think too, like it just, with like specific dating sites, depending on which one you're on, like, there's just always the implication.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Tinder basically is a hard one for the implication. You know what I hated? I fucking got Bumble. I had it for an hour, deleted it. I was like, I fucking hate this shit. First of all, every person on it was like definitely trying to date.
Yeah.
And also like just very unimpressive. But no, I got
Bumble. I was past my.
It was past your time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Bumble was popular when I was still dating, but I definitely didn't.
It was Tinder, really. And then,
Tinder, and then there was a couple other ones.
Yeah. Now the big ones, Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. I didn't get Hinge because Hinge is like the dating one. No. But I'm mad. I deleted my Bumble because I was like, okay, fuck this fuck this site. They took down one of my pictures. You want to see the picture? It was this picture.
Oh. Because the guys are in bikinis?
I guess so. Maybe because like there's like kind of under boob in this picture. But you have to literally zoom in. But yeah, I literally 5 minutes I put this picture up. I don't know if you guys can see it. 5 minutes I put this picture up. It got fucking taken down. It got reported.
It's like us getting fucking reported on that one site.
Yeah, because Mixer. Yeah, for Bella's boobies being out.
They weren't even out, really.
No, she was wearing a sheer top over everything. It wasn't even showing any. It's just like, I don't know, something. It's just like when that happened, and I was like, that's the kind of like aspect Bumble has. I was like, I'm good. Also, like dating in Utah, it's weird because like I'm not an outdoorsy person, and everybody is.
Let's go on a hike.
And I'm like, fuck, so you can kill me?
Yeah.
That's also my true crime mind going.
Hikes are a good place to just say, oh, she fell.
She fell.
She fell.
Don't ask why there's a bunch of cum in her. She fell.
That was before.
That was before.
You fucked and then she fell down the waterfall. I don't know.
What can I say? I fucked you over the waterfall.
Yeah. They say my stroke game too strong.
Too strong.
Well, so we have a little bit of time before our next podcast.
We can always just like come up with the next person. We are doing head homes. We can maybe talk about what we want to do for the future, kind of what we want to see if other people want to do.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we can always just kind of game plan for this next one, kind of come up with some ideas.
Yeah, I think that At Home's going to be a good one if we can find... I'm worried that At Home will turn into another short one, which I guess isn't bad, because short episodes aren't bad. Mm-mm. I definitely think it'd be cool to do, like, on an off day where we're not, like, planned to do our podcast. Mm-hmm. To do like short episodes that we can upload places that are like, you know, how does brain trauma affect serial killers?
Yeah.
Have all like small like 10 to like 30-minute things that are like more detail orientated episodes, but we can still post them in regards to true crime. Like I think that would be fun because we could research on like a topic for like a whole month and then do like a condensed
quick little 30-minute one.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be really dope as hell. Because, like, I don't know, there's just so many things into serial killers that, like, we just keep bringing up and up again. I feel like it'd be really cool to, like, get detailed with it.
And I would love to do... I think it'd be fun to do skits and sketches, too. I just don't know what we would do as far as, like, true crime.
One of the guys I met on Tinder, he made this really cool short film. It was, like, a horror film. I bet he like knows people. He has connections that he could probably. Yeah. We could probably ask him if he has any more ideas.
Well, I still like the idea of you, Cass, and myself making a horror film.
I think that would be dope. The only reason I brought him up is because he has the connections for like film people. That's the thing is like film people. I don't really know many.
I got some.
Oh, look
but
at that.
Not any like
connections.
Yeah, that's been the best part about podcasting, and now I've been doing it for a while. Is I just feel like I know at least somebody in every field.
Yeah.
Which is nice because I could be like, if I ever really need to, I could be like, oh, yeah, I remember Chaz has been on, and he's making films. That's what he does. Like he's a director.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's just fun. Holly, if they ask you on a hike, say yes, but only if you carry me to the whole way so I can read a book. LOL.
That would be great. Just get like on their back and like open the book. I'll be like, I'll read it out loud. I'll stutter a lot, but I'll do that for you.
The story. Frodo woke up one day.
I just read an entire book and I'm like, all right, you listening still?
Bilbo Baggins was not an adventurer.
Was not an adventurer. Oh my god. I really want to read Lord of the Rings books. I have yet to.
Yeah, I've never read the books either. I've heard they're actually not great.
I've heard they're not great either. So at that point, just watch all the movies.
Yeah, they say the movies are much
better.
Yeah, do it
much
justice.
better.
I mean, is there anything that you want to do for the channel, like that you think would be fun? Because I'm like, there's really not any ideas that I would not be open for.
Yeah.
I just know that you're super busy, and I'm going to be even more busy.
Yeah.
Starting some new jobs and stuff. So like, really, my only time gaps that I have available are going to be like weekdays, like after like 5:36 for a couple hours, and then planning my Friday, Saturday, and Sundays around all the shows.
Yeah, see, the thing is, now that I don't have a significant other, I don't go to jiu-jitsu anymore.
Oh, no.
I can still go. I still have a membership there, so it's not a big deal. I just don't want to hang out with him.
You should go and get better than him and just fucking...
I know. He got a stripe on his belt, so I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to catch up.
What was he at?
But he didn't have a stripe. He was like a beginner, now he has a stripe.
Oh, so he's a white belt.
He's still a white belt, but like getting those stripes really help because then eventually when you get enough stripes, you can do competitions.
Yeah. Because
you're like categorized as like better. And so I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 years if he gets a brown belt. He's really committed. Yeah. Except to me.
Oh, rip.
Rip. I don't give a shit. He was not worth my time. But besides that, I don't really have as much. I have a lot more free time. Also, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have one class in the morning and then I'm done the rest of the day. Okay. So, like, I'm definitely more available than I used to be.
Would you ever be... I mean, we'd have to figure out how to do it, but would you ever want to do streams on True Crime Drunks alone?
I would be down. I'd be down to really, like, do, like, a storytelling time. Because, like, the thing is, I'm not scared to do it alone. I wouldn't even, like, mind, because I kind of want to get into gaming. Yeah. And things like that. I'm also going to build my TikTok here pretty soon.
So I was going to say, like, I mean, that's the biggest thing with Twitch, right? Is, like, eventually us doing it once every 2 weeks, like, we'll get an audience on the new channel. Yeah. But it's going to take a while. Right. But if the more opportunities the channel's on and streaming, the better we have at people coming in. So, I mean, that's always an option if you wanted to do, like, True Crime Drunks gaming nights or something. Yeah, I would be really down for that. Because the thing is, too, I'm also moving back in with my dad, so I'm going to have, like, hella more free time. Because I won't have, like, roommates and stuff. Not that they take time out of my day, because I can tell them that I'm doing something and then do it. It's just, like, I like being with my friends. Yeah. And the thing is when your roommates are your best friend and your friend, it makes it really hard to do other things when you can just hang out with them, especially because I love memeing with Cass. But no, I'm really interested in trying more things and new things. Like, I feel like this year I'm just gonna try to be like, one, more my authentic self, and two, just like doing more stuff. More diverse in your
just more diverse.
Interests.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm very diverse in my interests. Like, people are surprised when I say I like horror and like. But also at the same time, we'll watch every Adam Sandler movie. True. And then I've seen every single episode of The Simpsons, and then everything, like, in between. Like, you know, I'm just, like, I'm such a diverse person, but, like, activity-wise, I'm pretty sedentary. I don't really have a lot of, like, outskirts things. But then I can also do, like, reviews on, like, Stephen King books. Yeah. That's, like, the thing I was thinking about doing is, like, on the True Crime Drunks is, like, Stephen King, and then kind of giving, like, the psychology of, like, the killers and, like, information on Stephen King. Because the thing is, like, I love that man. Yeah, that man has my heart. Have fucking corgis. I love how him and his son also have corgis. One's like the devil, one's the angel, I think they call it. Well, Molly, the devil, and something else, the angel. And it's like fucking cute. But yeah, no, I'm really interested in trying more for the podcast and doing more stuff.
Because that's the one thing that I've noticed, like, is going to be a while, is like, now that everything's on their separate channels, it's going to be a longer... or better in the long term.
Yeah, but it's going to take us a while.
It's going to take us a while unless we were to figure out something to be... One thing that I want to do is, like, once we get to affiliate, we can run reruns. So what we can do is upload all of our previous episodes on Twitch and just have them running when we're not here. So that will help, but it's just... Getting to that point is going to take longer than I thought it was.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also, too, I'm going to start getting more bigger on Twitter and my Instagram and promoting our podcast. So we'll get there eventually.
Especially if you're going to start doing a bunch of stuff on TikTok. TikTok's such a great app to just, like, have random things blow you up. Like, my guest last night, the one made a TikTok about the Wii U sensor bar will be picked up by a lighter. I don't know if you saw it. It went viral. Yeah. But it went so viral that, like, College Rules picked it up. Like, it was on Snapchat stories. Like, it went, like, super viral. So, like, and they just, like, literally, like, all her other TikToks had, like, a couple hundred views. And that one had, like, 1.8 million. You know? So, like, literally, if you, like, play the cards right, and because I fucked up the card game.
Yeah.
I went viral with my cat.
Yeah.
And then multiple videos around her went like a little bit viral, but then I stopped. So it really is like because like almost anyone will have like a viral video, it seems, or at least one that does well. And if you just stay catered to that and you play the consistent card game, like you'll just blow up.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a really easy formula, but it's just now that TikTok is so popular, it's harder and harder to get that algorithm.
Yeah, to get into the algorithm. But, yeah, no, I'm definitely willing to try more things and do stuff for this podcast. Because out of all the podcasts, True Crime Drunk gives me, like, the warm feelies.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that one mostly. Mostly because I feel like it's just more direct story. It's a good story. You're telling a story to people about it's something bad, something tragic that happened, but like it's a good story.
Well, it's a structure too.
And structure
is definitely
Also,
positive.
most of my comedic goals, my jokes, come from this one.
I know. Eventually, I want to go and supercut all the jokes.
Just see, the thing is that'd be good is like by episode 20 if we just cut all the jokes and then straight like post that.
Yeah.
I'm also too at the point where I just don't really give a fuck what people think about me, because I'm like I'm 110% of myself, and I'm kind of tired of not being 110% of myself.
No.
Because, like, I'm pretty great.
Life's a lot better when you decide, like, fuck what people think.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, that TikTok of the power plant I did just sounds even more enticing.
Yeah,
I think that'd be so
really
funny.
does. No, there's a lot of power. I realized that when it happened to me. I was, like, 23, maybe 22, when, like, I genuinely sat down with myself, and it was just like, yeah, we don't care what people think anymore. Why did I care in the first place?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power in that because like it gives you a mental freedom that you didn't realize you were missing.
Yeah, it really does. And so 2021 really is my year.
2021.
But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Follow me on my Instagram, Books Coffee Bees. I post a lot of horror things, vinyls, records, books, movies. Fucking jack of all trade, honestly.
Can we get some more bees? Like,
yeah, I don't have a lot of bees on there.
Let's go capture some bees.
Yeah, I want to beekeep. That would be fucking badass.
That would be a sick hobby.
Sick hobby. There's this girl in Texas that does it, and my hero. She's a fucking queen bee.
Queen bee. Fucking bee slapper.
But yeah, we have a website, truecrimedrunks.com. Gmail, truecrimedrunks@gmail.com. Straightforward, True Crime Drunks. And we also have an Instagram, True Crime Drunks.
True Crime Drunks. It's doing good.
Follow us on here. If you follow us on any other ones, I will eventually show one toe.
Oh, man. That's
just a singular toe.
That's a fucking gift for the internet. They're like, she's got toes she'll show?
I'll show one toe. You get to pick the toes. We'll do a Twitter poll.
A Twitter poll.
Do you want to see the big toe, pinky toe, middle?
You're going to have some savages. We only want to see the fucking... What's the one closest to the pinky called? I
don't even know. I always want to call it ring toe.
Yeah, I do too.
It's like the ring finger, but it's your toe.
The ring toe.
I'll put a piece of jewelry on it. You can marry me with my toes. You can marry my toes.
There's some guy out there like, what's your PayPal?
That's also
Cash App? I want to see your toes.
I don't remember what my PayPal and Venmo is.
Where's your toes located? I always thought the foot thing was a joke until like I saw some lady show her Venmo for how many feet pics she sold, and I was like, wow.
You're like, Wow, wow, wee, wah.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wee, wah.
Because the feet thing doesn't do it for me, but like it does for a lot of people, and like
some people have really hardworking moms out there.
True.
Damn it.
Yep, they do.
Dated one.
Real hardworking moms. Those shoes are
nice and stinky.
Nice and stinky. Nothing really does it quite like a foot. I just don't get it.
I don't either. It's not even sexual.
Oh.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yep.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Yep, we'll be back on
February something or another.
Yeah, so 2 weeks or.
So you want to do February 6th?
Yep, let's do it.
That way we have after that next week is Valentine's. I don't know what that was.
True crime. And that's when we'll cover good old. Okay, hold on. Let's rethink something here really quick. Nice.
Sorry, sort of save that for the
We were
Patreon.
going to do Ed Holmes.
Yeah.
But should we try and see if we can find like a Valentine serial killer?
Should we do a Valentine's killer?
I feel like it would fit the time a little bit better.
I mean, I would be even down for the next week after that, the 13th, doing a Valentine's killer.
Oh, yeah, the 13th would, because then the 14th is
it's Valentine's.
Yeah,
let's do that. Let's do that. Because I feel like a Valentine's killer or multiple killers of like love would be a good one.
Skip.
Well, we can skip it, but I mean, we could just go back to back. I don't mind.
Oh yeah, fuck it. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Because
I'll plan that right now.
Like I said, single lady, don't have much going on.
All the single ladies. All the single.
Put your hands up.
Whoa. Whoa. Have I ever told you the skit that I want to make really bad? Oh. I just need to find the people for it. How many people are in the single ladies video? It's 3, right?
I think it's 3. 3.
I want to find 2 other bigger bearded men, and we get in that outfit, and we remake the single ladies music video.
I would die of happiness.
That would be 100% viral.
That would be iconic.
If I could get it so viral that Beyonce is like, yo, that's pretty funny, and I could like meet her and just be like, what's up, queen?
Or just get like a gift bag from her.
Yeah, I'll just be like, what's up, queen? Where's Hova? And then she's all like, why'd you make that weird? And I'm like,
don't worry about me.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, tune in next 2 weeks.
Oh, at home.
At Homes. True Crime Jokes.
Bye.
Bye.